This island, the size of Western Europe, with fewer people than a mid-sized American suburb, just forced a NATO crisis, threatened a global trade war, and put the word annexation back on the table for the first time since 1945. And your government's response to it will decide what kind of world we live in for the next 50 years. Welcome to Geopolitical Owl, where behind every border lies a blueprint. Here's what the mainstream coverage keeps getting wrong. This isn't about Trump. It's not even really about Denmark. It's about a critical naval chokepoint, hundreds of millions of tons of untapped rare earth minerals, and the fact that whoever controls this ice sheet controls the military balance between the US, Russia, and China for the rest of this century. Look at this map. Greenland sits like a geographic cork in the North Atlantic bottle. Between it, Iceland and the UK runs the GIUK Gap, the single most important naval choke point in the Northern Hemisphere. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Greenland's position here is critical to monitoring Russia's northern fleet. Every Soviet submarine heading to the Atlantic had to pass through this corridor. The US built its entire Arctic early warning network around it. And today, with Russia's northern fleet back at Cold War operational levels and Chinese submarines increasingly active in Arctic waters, that corridor is more critical than at any point since 1989. Greenland already hosts Pituffik Space Base, the U.S. military's northernmost installation, home to Space Force operations, and, crucially, America's primary ballistic missile early warning radar. The U.S. already has a boot on the island. Trump says that's not enough. He wants the whole boot rack. Here's the data the Pentagon doesn't advertise. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, China holds close to half of all confirmed global rare earth reserves. Those are the minerals inside every EV battery, every wind turbine, every missile guidance system, every AI server rack on Earth. China began weaponizing that advantage in 2025, imposing export controls on heavy rare earths that rattled Western automotive and defense supply chains. Now look at Greenland's south. The Tanbreez deposit is estimated to contain up to 28.2 million metric tons of rare earth resources, with over 27% classified as heavy rare earths, the most strategically sensitive category. The Kvanefjeld site adds another 11 million metric tons. That's a combined resource base, the Atlantic Council says, could position Greenland as one of the world's largest potential rare earth sources outside China. Then add the Arctic shipping lanes. As the ice retreats, the northern sea route slashes weeks off transit between Asia and Europe. Russia controls its eastern section. Greenland anchors the western approach. Whoever holds that position rewrites global trade geography permanently. In January 2026, after U.S. forces removed Venezuela's Maduro, Trump ordered military planners to present possible acquisition strategies for Greenland. He threatened tariffs against 8 European NATO allies: Denmark, the UK, France, Germany, Finland, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden, unless they backed the push. 7 of those countries issued a joint statement, the kind you only see in wartime diplomacy, reaffirming that Greenland belongs to its people. The UK Parliament's own research briefing confirmed Trump initially refused to rule out military action against a NATO ally. That would have triggered Article 5, which under international law would theoretically constitute an armed attack on Denmark by the United States. At Davos on January 21st, Trump stepped back. No immediate tariffs, no military action for now. But the damage to NATO's internal trust is documented. According to the Munich Security Report 2026, published by the Munich Security Conference, Between half and two-thirds of respondents across surveyed European countries now say the United States has become a less reliable NATO ally, a shift that European defense planners describe as structural, not temporary. Denmark has responded with its largest ever dedicated Arctic investment, 27.4 billion Danish kroner, plus 16 new F-35s to close security gaps in the north. The crisis is paused. It is not resolved. Here's the strategic reality. Greenland is where three of the most dangerous trends of the 21st century converge. The remilitarization of the Arctic, Russia's northern fleet at Cold War levels, China building its Polar Silk Road, the race to control rare earth supply chains before the next tech war, and the fracturing of the post-1945 international order, where borders were supposed to be fixed. If one frozen island can push a NATO ally and an Article 5 partner to the brink of confrontation, ask yourself, what happens when the next flashpoint isn't ice, but silicon, or lithium, or the Taiwan Strait? Greenland's Independence Commission is expected to report by late 2026, setting the stage for what could become a referendum that reshapes the Arctic's political map for decades. When that happens, the US, China, Russia, and the EU will all be watching, because the outcome won't just decide the future of 57,000 Greenlanders. It will decide who gets to rewrite the map of the Arctic for the rest of this century. And that map affects every economy on the planet. If this gave you a new way of seeing the world, do hit like, subscribe to Geopolitical Owl, and I'll see you in the next one.